Hello and welcome to the show. Today we are going to be gunning for that top spot in the Hot Wheels Showdown. Not that we don't normally, however, I reckon this Holden Commodore stands a seriously good chance of going fastest. Not only have touring cars been tending to dominate the top, but I also know just how good the Holden is. This Commodore is one of my go-to vehicles for racing on Forza 6. It is an incredibly good handling car, which should put it in good stead when it comes to the Hot Wheels track. The main question I have is how much power we can get in it. The Sierra was a pretty damn good handling car, and that still had 700 horsepower, which meant its straight line speed, its top end speed were pretty good. Now, the Holden does have a fair amount of PI to play around with. Starts off as a mid C-class car, but I suspect when we start dumping on the race tyres, it's going to do that. It's going to put it all the way up into A-class. This might be more along in the vein of the Ferrari Testarossa in many ways. So 245s at the front, kind of to be expected at 285s at the rear. It should keep us nice and planted. Considerably bigger, certainly bigger rear tyres than we saw on the Sierra. I think same size front tyres. I'm really hoping that with everything else in the car, it is going to be capable. Now, engine swaps, I don't know if we will need to do anything. That's going to come a little bit later after we've got the other parts on the car. See what the standard engine is capable of doing. We're going to want all of these race handling parts. As far as quarter speed goes, I am expecting this to be incredible. I very much expect it to challenge the Testarossa in terms of handling, but I don't know how much power. Don't know how much power we're going to get into it. What are our options in terms of engine? 6.2 V8, oh wow, 8.4 V10, or the 6.5 V12. Right, power's not going to be an issue then, because V12, V10, and so on, they're all fitting in the car in S1 class. Standard engine, I don't actually think it's going to stand a hope in hell of competing with those, if it's going to need that much power to get it up to the top of the class. I'll see what the standard engine is capable of doing. Is a decent engine in this car, do not get me wrong. Again, the ones that I've run on Forza 6 all run with a standard engine in them, but that's because I use it in sort of C and B class. I think it's C class mostly I use my Commodore in, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. Yeah, it's not gonna do it on the standard engine. We'll have a look. Not gonna happen though. So, we have got a choice. Do we go for the V8? That's the lightest. We could go crazy and go for the V12. Doesn't really give us much in the way of options for upgrades. The V10, good power, good torque, is a little bit heavier. I might just go for the V10, you know. 8.4 litre V10 in the Holden Commodore, because why on earth not? Your power's not going to be an issue. I might keep it naturally aspirated, to be honest. I might just, stick it naturally aspirated. We can then go through and get things like driveline and so on. When we've got a couple of PI, we've got a couple of PI left, we can go through and grab them. I'm kind of hoping to make it as light as possible here, with things like exhaust, intake, manifold. We'll go with air filter as well. Just, get the car as light as possible. We want the corner speed. We are going to have the 700 or so horsepower. Similar levels, very similar, in fact, in terms of power to the Sierra with bigger rear tyres. It's looking promising. I don't want to say too much, because I know what the curse of the commentator is like, but it is looking very, very promising in our Commodore. All right, let's stick on driveline. Let's stick on a clutch there. Oops. Yeah, I'm back. Maybe we have got a stage of gearbox. We are not going to need any more than that. Have I put the diff in? I have. Okay, so back to engine parts it is. Can we sneak in another upgrade somewhere? That won't tip us over the edge. 729 horsepower, 683 torque, 2,500 pounds. This is looking promising. This is looking very promising for the Holden. So, here we are at the skyscraper takeoff circuit. Holden is going to have 5 laps to try and beat the Sierra Cosworth. 133.627 is the time to go faster than. Statistically speaking, this car is looking right in the zone. It's right in the right age category as well. That golden era that has so far been very, very quick. How are we doing in terms of handling? Yeah, it's pretty good. It is, are we going to be flat out around? No, we're not going to be flat out around turn 3. Interesting. Admittedly, it is going rather quick. Up towards turn 4 we go. I was a little bit slow there myself. We can definitely do better than that. Unlike the Capri, we are going to be absolutely flat out across there. No problems. We can definitely carry more spires. Too much on the brakes there. We need a tiny go on the brakes now. How are we going to do out of this corner? What is our acceleration going to be like? 180 miles an hour in the Capri. The Capri had a lot more power and was a lot lighter than this, so we're not expecting to go as quick as that. It was towards the 170 mile an hour mark. It's pretty good. I guess our big question will be the... oh, careful. That's throwing it in way too deep there, but it's got the grip to get away with it, which is lovely. We saw the Corvette really struggling with carrying speed with the grip through there. How are we going to head around the big old loop? It is a nice run off the boost pad up towards the 200 mile an hour mark. Can't quite hold it around the loop as nicely. We will, though, accelerate all the way down towards 221 miles an hour. Can't slow it down for the final corner, but we will make it. A 37.6 isn't the greatest of the opening runs, but never mind. Keep everything as neatly and under control as we can through that sort of first couple of corners. Better this time around. Still at 120 miles an hour we're holding. Yeah, the question is, it's not quite as good through the... I say it's not quite as good through the corners. It's not as good as a Testarossa through the corners. That much is for sure. But I'm perhaps not so surprised at that. I had hoped for maybe a little bit more grip through the corners. 140 would be asking a lot of the car there. It would really be asking a lot of the car there. But we have got the power out of the turns. We have got decent acceleration. It's whether this is going to be the perfect compromise that we've been searching for between crazy power and outright grip. It's quite interesting at the moment of the leaderboard. The first two cars have both got their speed in very, very different ways. The Testarossa, all about the corner speed. The Sierra, quick through the corners. You've got to be quick through the corners. No matter, we saw with the Capri and the Ferrari 166 having just pure acceleration doesn't work. But yeah, they got their speeds in very, very different ways, and trying to find that ultimate combination of straight line speed and handling. This, we'll wait and see. As I said, I do. Statistically speaking, it does look like it is right in the zone at the moment. I'm not 100% sure on its speed through the corners. We'll see what this lap is. A 34.0 first flying lap. It is a 34.0 from the car. It's certainly right there. It's right with the other touring cars. 0.4 of a second is all we are looking for in this. But, of course, we've got to not make any big mistakes. Not go soaring off the track or asking too much of the car. Having done that on a first flying lap makes me feel like it may well be achievable. It's, again, another one that doesn't actually feel blisteringly fast. Oh, that's 140. That's too much speed on the way into there. Yeah, it doesn't feel like the craziest, quickest car in terms of lap time. But, you know, I've said that about vehicles before, and the Corvette set a very similar time to this. It does feel quicker than the Corvette. No, I'm still not really sure how I got the speed out of the Corvette that I did. It does feel nicer than that. It does feel like it's carrying more speed through the corners. It's the turn in that we're struggling a little bit with these cars. And I know this is going to be gaining its speed in a slightly different way compared to some of the vehicles, but yeah, it does feel a little bit on the awkward side turning in. We're getting really good runs. We're going to burn all of our good runs across the boost pad on these opening laps. We get like 209 miles an hour. It's very, very quick off there, which is always good. Amusingly, the Dodge Dart is as quick as this down that hill there is a 33 something, I think, on a dirty lap, so that might have even been a 33.6. It was around that sort of time. If we don't go quicker, then of course I will go back frame by frame with that to have a look, because that was definitely quick, and that included a big old bounce off the wall as well. There is definitely There is definitely potential going on in the Commodore if I can get everything right through these corners, and I think we're on for a very, very quick lap time. Now, slow it down. Make sure you actually slowed it down enough. There we go. That was better. That was better through there. We do run a little bit wide. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to keep it in 4 through there, though, really, because you end up slightly out of the power band, 168 miles an hour, before jumping on the brakes that are very, very good in this car. It does get slowed down very well, and despite the 700 horsepower, there is no real wheel spin, so to speak. This is still, 700 horsepower through the rear wheels of a car is a lot of power, and while they are big tyres, they're nowhere near as big as some, where we've seen 345s fairly common on the big muscle cars. This doesn't have that. It has 285s, yeah, not bad. Certainly not the biggest tyres, though. Oh, this isn't great news. How did it do that? Normally, twisting through the air there is a death warrant. Not many cars get away with recovering that, and we still got a good run across the boost patch. We still got some brilliant straight line speed off of the loop. Big oversteer. It's going to be a new fastest time. 33.1 from the Commodore. That is the first real bit of oversteer that typically just at that split second where you don't want it. The first real big bit of oversteer from the car. And seriously quick. We've got half a second faster than the Sierra, and that included a twist on the takeoff. That's quite something. Can we get it into the 32s? Can we put that benchmark even further away from the rest of the field? It had been relatively, like the whole leaderboard had all been closing up. This has now just made a huge gap at the front of the tail. The top 10 were covered by kind of half a second-ish. We had a lot of cars in the high 33, or maybe not quite half a second. Certainly at under a second was covering a lot of cars. We were seeing a lot of high 33s, low 34s from some quick vehicles. But yeah, this is going to make a whole nother step forward. I don't know if we're going to be able to find any more time this lap around. I'll give it as good a shot as we can. Up towards the boost pads we go for the final time. No twisting through the air. The first car ever to get every single lap a good run off of the boost pads, which is nice to see. Not carrying the most speed around the loop, but 195 miles an hour is still very, very good indeed as we get to 220 at the bottom. Now, wait for it. A little bit more patience from me there. We are into the 32s. A 32.8. That is some serious speed. That is some serious speed. It's almost, well, it is 0.8 of a second down the road from the Sierra. I thought it might be quick. I thought it might challenge the top of the table, and it certainly has. We have a new leader. The Sierra's reign was actually quite long, probably the longest lived reign at the top of this Hot Wheels Showdown, but it has been quite comprehensively beaten by the Holden Commodore. This is a bloody quick car. It doesn't feel outstandingly quick. It's peculiar. It is peculiar around here. It doesn't feel like it's that much faster than the Sierra, than the Testarossa, and so on and so forth. The likes of the M3 and everything. But it is. It really, really is around here a very, very fast car. That straight line speed, 220 miles an hour, getting consistently good runs off the boost pad is always a helpful thing. It's maintaining good speed around the loop. Not the fastest. It's probably not the fastest in any particular section. However, it is very close to it, and when you put it all together, that's what makes the difference. The brakes are very, very good on this car. The traction is very good. We did get a little bit of wheel spin out the final corner on that fourth lap, but we didn't on the final one. It's, very easy to deal with so much power. Okay, yeah, you used to talk about 1,000 horsepower cars, but still, 700 is a lot through the back of any car. It's, a very, very good choice indeed. A very good choice indeed for this Hot Wheels track. It is also, I suspect, going to take a hell of a lot to go quicker than this vehicle. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Definitely some celebratory donuts in order for the Commodore. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.